Good morning and welcome to Monday Marketing with Suzanne. I am delighted to be here and to be sharing the last in my the last week's worth of my 6-week content planning and delivery series. I'm Suzanne Moore, and I work with independent wow, I'm having a little trouble this morning. Entrepreneurial women to help them figure out what the 2 to 3 things are that they really need to focus on in order to bring revenue into their business right now so that they can stop feeling like they're playing a game of whack-a-mole, constantly going after all the things, right? So this week we are going to talk about systemizing your content planning. And I've touched on this throughout the series a little bit here and there, but I just wanted to kind of synthesize it and bring it all together. So at the beginning of the series, I spoke generally about setting up systems, and I talked about how we use either frequency, we have to plan a frequency, and we have to plan a style, frequency and style. Boy, I am having a little trouble this morning. There's a lot going on in my house. Everyone's on vacation. I'm feeling a little bit of distraction pulling me left and right, so forgive me. So we talked about frequency and style in your content planning. Frequency being, of course, how often you provide content to your audience, and style being whether you do monthly themes, series like I do, or whether you do one-offs. And regardless of which type of planning you do, you're going to want to create time and space in your calendar for setting up the next set. Okay. This is important no matter which style you're doing, but I find it particularly important, or what I find is that people who are planning monthly or planning a series, they kind of, they get to almost the end of the month and they're like, oh, wow, I got to do the next month if they haven't done it already. This is extremely important for those of you who've decided, I just want to do one off. Doing a series or doing monthly planning feels like too much to me, because what happens is you might plan for 12 and say, okay, I've got 12 weeks worth, or 12, half a year's worth. But then you get to the end of that and you're like, oh no, right? So you especially have to calendar in time for this, although I would encourage everyone to do so. So first, you need to have your planning system, and that includes calendaring in time to plan for the next month, 3 months, series, whatever the case may be, right? Then I want to make sure that you don't get stuck. And again, this is about having systems. So when you do your planning, I suggest you keep it high level, because what I wouldn't want you to do is plan, okay, you know what, I've blocked a 3-hour block of time on my calendar, right? Which is not what I would recommend. 3-hour block of time on my calendar, and I'm going to get all of my content done for the next, say, 3 months, right? And you get there and you say, okay, topic 1. And you spend the next 2.5 hours writing what you want to write about topic 1. And then you go, oh no, I had 3 hours planned, 3 hours set aside to do all this planning, and I only got one thing done, right? I know you've been down that rabbit hole. I know you have. So what I suggest instead is that you do high level, you plan out each episode, right? Or each entry, I'll say. And you go as far as the title, or generally what you're going to talk about, and then 3 bullet points about what comes underneath that, what supports your general concept of what you're talking about that time. And then leave it. If you then want to come back to it, even on the same day, fine, but I wouldn't I wouldn't get more specific than that until you've planned out however many your intention is to plan out. I hope I'm making sense. I'm really feeling like I'm a little off today, so forgive me if I seem that way to you. Anyhow, so so let's just say you're planning 12 one-off episodes, right? I would sit down, I would schedule your time, and I would say, okay, I need 12 topics. Boom, 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 boom. And then I need 3 to 5 bullet points for each one. Okay, number one, number two, number three. And then I would let it be. I would come back to it later. So plan a later time. And what I do for this is I plan a time each week then, because I go live weekly, plan a time each week to actually script myself for that episode, right? And for me, that's still bullet points, but I get a little bit more in depth with them. So you've got your bullet points, you generally know what you want to say, and then you just have to flesh it out a little bit. And when you do that weekly, first of all, it's fresh in your head what you're going to speak about. Secondly, you haven't had the chance to write it 6 weeks ago and then change your mind today about what you're going to talk about, right? Because we all are constantly learning and developing and growing. And sometimes we just have this like, oh, wow, since I wrote that, I've learned so much more about it, right? And when you do that, it'll be fresh in your mind for when the dog now has something to say. When you do that, it'll be fresh in your mind for actually sharing it with people. Of course, if you're writing articles, that's a little bit different. But if you are going live or you are doing video, having it fresh in your mind is super helpful. Okay, then you want to create the promotional system around it, because it isn't just about getting the content done. It's about getting the content out where people can see it. It's kind of that whole, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it matter, right? You don't want your trees falling in empty forests. You want your trees going down in a way that everyone knows what's going on, right? So you want to have a consistent system for sharing whatever content it is you've created. So that means your newsletter, right? Even if your newsletter is simply an email with a little bit of an introduction about what you talk about and a link back to a Facebook page, a Facebook group, an Instagram feed, wherever your content is, right? That's perfectly fine, but you want to get it into people's inboxes so that they know what it is you're talking about and have direct access to it without having to hunt through social media for it, or without having to go to your website, because if they don't have something coming at them reminding them to go to your website, they may just not go. In fact, they likely won't. So then you also want to have systems around getting social with it. So in last week's episode, I talked about getting social, turning your content around and creating questions and strong statements that people will want to comment on. And then building those into, graphical frames that you can share. I will tell you that until I had support with this, until I had a virtual assistant who helped me out with it, I really struggled to get this going consistently. I highly recommend that you look for one, and I do have some resources that I can share with you if you are looking, that are very reasonably priced, because I know that that was an issue for me. And it's scary when you don't have support in your business, when you're not already paying for support in your business, to think, oh, I'm going to make an ongoing investment in this kind of support. So if you want to connect on that, let me know. Yeah, and then of course you want to be putting yourself in places on social where people are asking questions that your content can answer so that you can say, oh my gosh, I just did a live on that the other day. Here's the link, right? Um, and again, that might be something that you do. It might be something that you hire someone to do. But having a system around it, like saying, okay, for 30 minutes every week on Wednesday, I'm going to go look for places. I'm going to go back to uh, the places that I've identified where my ideal client hangs out, and I'm going to see if there are questions being asked about this and that I can support those individuals, right? Okay, so that is what I wanted to cover today. I hope it has been helpful. If you would like to meet one-on-one to talk about creating a system around your content, I would love to support you with that. Please reach out to me via my scheduler and grab a strategy session. You can do that at schedulewithsuzanne.as.me. Again, schedulewithsuzanne.as.me. Sorry, this Monday Marketing with Suzanne was a little bit off today, but you know what? We're all just doing the best we can, right? Have a great day, guys. Take care.